The Appointments Committee used the Chamber of Parliament for its hearings on day 2. The Minister of Defence, Dominic Nitiwul, appeared first before the committee. He denied knowledge of the military invasion of Parliament before the inauguration of the 8th Parliament.
No civilian, and in this I'm speaking to you and the people of Ghana, no civilian, and let me repeat, no civilian has the capacity to be able to move and order the members of the armed forces. It's not possible. They will not do it. And they have never done it before. Mr. Chairman, so the names that were being bandied about, including my name, did not at that time have the capacity to move the armed forces. If you remember, I was a civilian, not a civilian, I was not a minister at that time. None of the people were ministers at that time. We didn't have the capacity. Even if you were a minister, you will still give whatever you want to say to the commanders. And if the orders are lawful orders, they will obey them. And I want to say that that is not what happened at all. None of us had the capacity. The names that's why I'm happy to use the word allegation. The names that you allege didn't have the capacity at that time to move the armed forces or members of the armed forces of the Republic of Ghana or the police service. And you remember that it was both the police service and the armed forces. Some people failed to maybe appreciate that it was a combination of both the police and the armed forces. We didn't have that capacity at all. And I just wanted to answer to you.
He also commented on the use of military to support activities of illegal miners.
The Tompo incident that you are talking about, the initial report I received from the Chief of Army Staff and the CDS is that the enhanced camp life moved in there when the Chief Executive wrote to RESEC and, of course, to the Army Military High Command that there were a lot of illegal activities going in there. So they sent enhanced camp life, which is a combination of police and the soldiers, to make sure that they look at that particular thing. So I've asked the CDS to make sure that they investigate it to the latter and give me a report. That investigation is ongoing. And I can tell you that the military have punished over the last 4 years, and some people have been removed from their military for engaging in acts that they are not supposed to engage in. And some have had their ranks reduced because of that kind of thing. So I want to assure you that anybody found guilty, that person will be dealt with. So investigation is ongoing.
He hinted of plans to relocate the armed forces from the Burma camp in Accra.
I think that is a conversation that is worth taking up. And I believe that members of the armed forces will be very happy to be given that location, that particular facility, if it's completed. I do know that there are some legal issues surrounding that facility. But I think that if that facility is completed and handed over to the armed forces will really take it. Like I said, accommodation is one of their problems, so that they can put some of their combat troops there. Most nations around the world don't have their armed forces in the center of town. Most nations around the world don't. And so we have to start thinking about it as a country. In the long term. So I have some sympathies with what you are saying, that we should start that conversation now. And I think that as a first step, we should look at handing over Saglame housing project, complete it, handing over after the legal issues have been addressed to the armed forces to occupy, and then we'll take it from there. And we can develop into a real balance. And then we can take a decision as a country what happens to Burma camp. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The Foreign Affairs Minister, Shirley Ayorkor Botchwey, took her seat next. She touted the expansion in access to passport services as one of her greatest achievements.
We have set up a passport application center in Tema, in Koforidua, in Cape Coast, and in Wa. And we are almost close to completing preparations for the Upper East. We are also Yes, we are also going to ensure, if I'm giving the nod, that the 6 new regions have their passport application centers. What we've also done, Honorable Chair, is to make passport application fully online. So far, it is working very well.
She also commented on how the country could leverage diplomacy to acquire COVID-19 vaccines.
I am not directly with the Ministry of Health. However, in my engagements with China and Russia, I will find out from the Ministry of Health whether it is something that they would like to consider. Because I know that for a fact, we do have very capable pharmaceutical companies here who I'm sure will be able to put together, package the vaccine. So I will find out from them. And if that is something that will quicken the pace for us to get the vaccines, I am more than willing to do that. But they would first have to give me the go-ahead. Thank you, Mr.